Okay, so if you notice here, my battery was dead for no reason. Literally no reason for that to have happened, but whatever, we deal with it. So yeah, we're back. Uh, I'm just gonna continue where I left off, and I'll deal with it later. So yeah, this comp. This comp is what arises when you have three buffs to the meta and you nerf the other stuff. So yeah, this comp is played around uh, Zara Seraphine, Alistar, Mundo, Echo. You reroll on that, and you're rerolling for the one cost, and if you hit Echo 2, that's fine. But yeah, Zyra gets damage items, Seraphine gets utility items. Just because Zyra's getting both of her traits in, and Seraphine is not. I think Seraphine is probably still a better unit, but because Zyra has street demon buff, like I think it makes her a little bit stronger. This buff to Zyra makes it so that she can actually probably one-shot the units, at least a bit more reliably. And then you cap out with Brand Nico Viego. And then on 9 and stuff, you can add more stuff. But yeah, this comp, I've been spamming on PBE, and like I've been doing pretty well. Uh, before the set launched, I also was spamming this, and I was doing well. And then when the set launched, uh, disaster. So yeah, but I think now with the buffs and the nerfs to other stuff, this might be viable. So that's a comp to look out for. Okay, Jin is getting nerfed. There's a starting mana nerf, and then there's a bounce damage nerf. I don't really think Jin needs to be nerfed. I think Jin is like probably perfectly balanced. I think that yeah, like even though he's played in like Exotech, which is strong, he's played in like Vexotech, which is strong. Jin isn't like the primary carry or even like the secondary carry in either of those. And then if you look at the comp where Jin is a primary carry, which is like Jin reroll, that comp is like okay, but it's not doing great. So I don't think Jin needs to be nerfed. So I don't know. I don't really think this is a good change. No problem, man. We are in need of rebrand considering there are no more anomalies in TFT, but we're working on that. So I think we're going to be moving on to like theory content, as I've been pretty good at that. I think that's where my place lies within TFT. Neferi. This is a buff that was pulled. So this was a buff that was supposed to go through last patch, but they didn't. So it's still being showed here. I think it was correct to pull this buff just because buffing Neferi 5 times is a bit scary. However, with hindsight, bias now, I think that they can go and implement this buff, and then that would still be correct. So I think Riot was just right the first time, but I think it was perfectly fine for them to hesitate. Now, if they went and they did this, I think that would be great. Because I think the is like almost there. I think this if they do this, that'd be great. If they buffer in some other way, that might be okay as well. I think she does still need a slight buff, but only a slight one, because like there are some spots where Neferi reroll is viable. So, yeah. Twisted Fate. This is a very interesting and probably controversial one. In low elo, I think Twisted Fate is probably stronger. In high elo, I think Twisted Fate might be dead. So let's talk about what changed. The first is the passive, and then if you look at this doesn't seem like anything crazy, but this is a lot. So you're going from 2 to 1.5, which is a 33% damage or AP decrease, which adds up a lot. Twisted Fate's mana cost is 70, so every 7 attacks he's gonna auto, so after his first 7 attacks, he's going to have 14 bonus AP, whereas on the new patch, he would have 10.5. And then on the second, I think his attack counts as a spell counts as one attack, so 8 attacks later, you go from 14 to 30, and then here you go from 10.5 to 23.5, which is now 6.5% AP, and it adds up. But if you also look at here, you see that his actual AP ratio was buffed quite decently. It's a 10% buff, I think, all around. Actually, this one is a bit more than 10%. It's like 11. So basically, how many casts will it take for Twisted Fate, like this nerf, to affect this, to offset this buff? I think it's like, okay, we did the math before. It's probably like I don't know. I think it's like 2 or 3 casts. But the point is that the way Twisted Fate works in high elo is that he's basically a stall machine, and then once he gets into overtime, he basically is guaranteed to win, unless it's like a Zeri or something. And that is heavily dependent on his scaling. Whereas in low elo, it kind of just doesn't matter that much. And you could just play Twisted Fate because he's just like a good reroll candidate. So the point is, I think Twisted Fate might be dead in high elo. Just because he'll fall off too hard later into the game. Though early game he'll be stronger. And it's the same thing. Early in a round he'll be stronger. And then in overtime, he's a lot weaker. One other thing that this might do is that it might change his BIS. It might not be double Rage Blade anymore. Twisted Fate might want to build like a damage item now instead of the Rage Blade. If it's only 1.5 AP per attack, yeah, you're not even getting that much. This might actually change to TF to be like a Shojin user instead of a Ginsu's user. So we'll have to look at we'll have to see. Vayne is getting nerfed. This is another one I don't really agree with. So the Vayne comp is definitely strong, but I don't think it's because of Vayne. I think the problem is something that they addressed, which is J4, which I'll talk about when we get there. But I don't think Vayne was the problem. So I don't think Vayne needed to be nerfed. Vayne is definitely strong early, but if you actually pay attention to all the games that you play and look at what is happening, the people that are win streaking with Vayne are usually doing so because they hit an early J4. Because J4 early game is absolutely disgusting. He does not die and he does too much damage. And he's getting nerfed, which is correct. I completely agree with that, but Vayne I don't think is problematic. I think this is just a not very smart nerf. Veigar, I think this is a very small nerf. Actually, it's not that small, but I think this is fine. I think Vhagar does need to be nerfed slightly, but I don't think he should be hit too hard. And I think if you look at it, this is a small nerf. This is literally 3% nerf. This is like a 5% nerf, and this is like a 5% nerf. A little less, like a 4% nerf. Also, this scaling is weird. Not that I like to edit. Well, whatever. The point is, yeah, I think this is fine. I'm glad I didn't hit Vhagar too hard because of the meta shifting around him anyway. Like Vhagar, you need a really good spot for it, and it's definitely a strong comp, but it's not like oppressive. So I think a small nerf is fine when they implement other changes to other units. Uh, in the grand scheme of things, I think this is a good nerf. Braum is getting his Syndicate bonus buffed, which I completely agree. This bonus has been like awful the entirety of the set. They're buffing it quite noticeably. It's a 50% buff to the armor magic resist scaling. If you look at the damage here, the number isn't actually going that high, but it is. I mean, it's there. I think. I mean, this might make it so that you actually want to bonus Braum. So we'll see. I'm not really sure if this is too. I don't think this is too much. I think this is fine. But yeah, this bonus was a bait, and it was not very good. But this might make it. The thing is, I don't really think we needed the damn. I think he just needed more like defensive stats or something. But I mean, whatever. A buff is a buff, and it definitely needed it. So that's whatever. Gragas, getting a buff. Mana cost is being lowered. I think this is fine. Gragas was like a little weak. He's not like that bad, but I don't think he needed a big buff. This isn't that big a buff. Gragas might go a little closer to being a flex tank. Like he's the Vinacore, so he's gonna be pretty flexible. I think the more main tankable he is, you're gonna have. It's gonna be hard to hit Gragas 3, so I don't think meta should be warped around Gragas main tank being strong, but I think overall, like, he did need the buff, so I think this is fine. J4, damage nerf, completely correct. I think this is perfectly fine. Uh, Jarvan was overbuffed last patch, and while he did need damage buffs, I don't think he needed to literally double his damage. I think this is perfectly fine. This is a 20% nerf, but I think he needed a 20% damage nerf. Tankiness, he's been fine. It's the damage that's been a little concerning because he's just been too stable. You literally get J41, you put in any damage items, like you can give him any Z items plus like tank items, and he will like actually carry you for like stage 2 and 3. So yeah, this is definitely needed. Like this was the main reason that Vayne reroll is so strong, and this is the correct way to nerf it. Nerfing Vayne was not the correct way to nerf it because despite being a Vayne reroll, the comp was stabilized by Jarvan. Yeah. Rengar, his heal's getting further nerfed. I don't like this that much. I don't really like Rengar being playable, but I think the problem with this nerf is that this makes this like this looks really bad. His scaling just feel I think like as like a casual player, I think if I were to like look from that lens, this looks so like just unsatisfying. Uh I don't think Rengar needed nerfs anyway. Like he definitely has high roll spots, but like he's much harder to play. Uh, Granted, this isn't truly like a big nerf, but like it's just like it really feels bad to like see this kind of scaling. Like, because most people aren't gonna see this and like notice that this number is going up. So it really feels like from the casual player experience that like doing this would change nothing. That's it. Like I said, I don't. I think Rengar is like in a good spot right now, where if you hit and you like have a really good spot, he can be strong and he has a pretty high cap. But otherwise, he's not. He's not oppressive. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this change. Like on the bright side, this makes it so that we're gonna see less Rengar, and I'm not gonna complain about that because I despise Rengar. But yeah, Yumi. Okay, so this is they're partially reverting nerfs that they made from PBE or from like before the set launched. So her damage is this is just back to I think what it was. Maybe actually I'm not sure. I don't remember. I remember this used to be 200. So they have guidelines as to like what made Yumi strong, what Yumi weak. So this is less than Yumi's peak was, so she's not going to be like terribly oppressive. I think this might be enough to make Yumi reroll viable again. Like this looks like this like small nerf or small buffs, but like they're actually pretty significant. Because this is just a flat 15% damage buff, and then you also have another like 5% buff here. So Yumi reroll might be something to look out for again. Or even like tempo Yumi into like maybe Annie or something. That also might be the play. We'll see. Because Annie I think is also getting buffed. Yeah. Okay. So Annie is I think getting a little bit of damage onto her bolts back. It's I mean, okay, the numbers look small, but like if you take a percentage perspective, this is like a 12% buff, and then this is like a 13% buff. So it's actually like not that small. That said, uh, it might be enough. The thing is, her relationship with like mana versus building AP is like still a little weird. Because the problem is that her other trait, like, so everyone knows that like Amp is like kind of a bait on a lot of units. I mean, this does buff Amp specifically, so that might be a little bit better. But the thing is, Annie's rework when she got gutted was skewing her towards AP scalings, but her other trait is Golden Ox, which gives damage amp, meaning she doesn't really have AP, but she also still wants to cast really fast to get Tibbers out. So, I mean, that's just the reason why Annie feels like bad to play. I think that, I mean, like, at the end of the day, a buff is a buff. At the very least, this is going to make Annie better. I mean, this is a buff to Golden Ox, obviously. Strategist Annie might be more playable now because I've been playing a bit of strategist, but like I've been using Annie as an item holder for brand if I just like low roll. The problem is that Annie 2 is like unless you have like the actual Annie items, like I would rather have the brand 1 with brand items than the Annie 2, and I don't think that should be correct. I feel like Annie is still too tied to casting fast to be good. And I don't know if that's what Riot wants. But I mean, whatever. A buff is a buff. And I mean, this is like objectively going to make her better. Aphelios. So, mini rework, sort of. Not really. But I think Riot is going in the right direction. I mean, okay, the actual correct decision is just to change this Aphelios to be like set 9 Aphelios. Uh, that would be the actual correct change. Because that was just a much more fun Aphelios and much better, and yeah. I mean, they're trying to keep him away from that, probably. And they're kind of going in an okay direction. So, the chakram damage is actually being or it's being buffed like heavily. It's going from 7 to 11, which is it's like a 50% damage buff. Yeah, it is a 50% damage buff. So you have to consider on hit damage. So like, okay, so he's gonna get 4 and then +1 for each enemy hit. Let's just say this number is like 2. I mean, you can hit more than 2 enemies, but like, for the sake of like math, let's just say he hits 2 enemies with his blast. That means you have 6 chakrams. They're going from 42% on hit damage to 66. Which, like I said before, that's like a 50% damage buff. Overall, to his auto attacks, it's like it's not as big. It's you're going from 142% to 166%, which is pretty sizable. That's still like a 20, like 25% damage buff. Now on top of that, he's getting 8 attacks instead of 6, so he has more uptime. So the way to like think about this is just uptime. So this is 50% uptime. He has 6 autos that are empowered, 6 autos that are not. Now you have 8 that are empowered and 5 that are not. So you're going from 50% uptime to like what, 80 over 8 over 13. What's that? I don't know. It's for like 65 or something. I mean, I can. It's like I'm actually gonna. I don't know. It should be around like 60 something. But the point is, he has more uptime and he has much more damage. So this is actually a pretty big buff. I think Aphelios needed a buff. I don't think. I think this might be too big. I don't know. This might be too big. But I always gravitate towards like subtlety, and I know the right balance team likes bigger swings, so it is what it is. But I mean, obviously, Aphelios did need to be buffed, so I'm not gonna worry about that. However, if it ends up too much, let's just say I told them so. Brand nerf. It's a very small nerf, so I think it's fine. I don't think Rand needed to be nerfed. I mean, he's like strong, but like it's mostly product of meta and matchups that determines whether he was good or not. Like Brand was good because he had a pretty decent matchup into like Exotech and stuff. And like a lot of the time his board is uncontested, and that's the main reason why he's strong. So like contested Brand is not that strong. So I'm not really like it's. I think it's fine. It's a small nerf. Okay, this is also to the main fireball. Okay, if it's to the main one, actually, it's probably fine because I mean I think it's still gonna do a lot of damage anyway. So Yeah. Cho'Gath is being buffed again. This is whatever. I think this is fine. Uh, if we take a look at this, this might not be fine because those who played PBE know that when Cho'Gath was at this number, he was pretty weak. When he was at this number, he was disgustingly OP. And Riot even said when they were pivoting between these two numbers that they made this change just to see what they could get away with, and that they realized that this was a really big swing and definitely too much. So they're giving that back, and they're also buffing his AP ratio. I mean, the problem is that Cho'Gath is hard to fit into comps because Boombot has really awkward connections to things, so it's probably hard to get more than two Boombots in. And vertical Boombot is still like difficult to play. But Cho'Gath might become a flex tank. Now you just play like Cho'Gath plus another bruiser, like when you just need a tank. In which case, I mean, I'm all for that. But yeah, just know that Legacy says that this change is like gonna be disgusting. In practice, let's see what that does. Vex, okay, they're pulling a lot of the buffs, and I think that's good. They're still, in the end, they're buffing Vex, so let's talk about that. They're changing her overheal bonus from 150 to 180%. This is something that's like kind of hard for people to like quantify, but like I can kind of simplify it. So 150% of overhealing damage is converted to bonus true damage. So you want to take her overhealing ratio, which is, or like it's her omnivamp ratio. If she's at full health, her omnivamp ratio is just her healing damage, so the overheal is going to be 150% of that value. So let's say Vex has her 15% passive omnivamp plus Gunblade, which is 18%. So that's 33%, like total omnivamp. So that means that 150% of that would be 50% of overhealing. Which would mean that Vex does 150% of 33% is 50%. So 50% of Vex's damage when she's at full health is converted to bonus true damage. With this, you have it's 180% now. So now instead of going for, instead of 50%, it is now like, I don't know. But the point is it's higher. Let me, I think it's like now closer to like 60. Which with her base build is a 10% damage buff. Pretty scary. Another thing, okay, so like originally they had other changes too. They had like a damage buff to her spell, and this number used to be 200%. I think at 180 now, I'm not sure, but at 200%, I was fairly certain that her BIS might change from blue buff Gunblade like +1 to just blue buff double Gunblade. At 180%, it might still be the case where her BIS is just blue buff double Gunblade. Because one Gunblade has 18% Omnivamp and 20% AP. So 18% Omnivamp becomes like it becomes 32% like bonus true damage. So Gunblade offers 20 AP and 32% bonus true damage, which is kind of like pretty good. In addition to the fact that it also heals allies. So I'm pretty sure with this, whereas with here it was just 20, it was 27%. You're going from 27% bonus true damage to 32. I think that might be enough to swing it towards being double gunblade. Which I don't think is what Riot wants. But I think that's what would end up happening. So yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, Vex comp finally caught on after tons of brigading from me. Well, not tons, but like I've had this comp and I've been trying to make the comp work for a while, and I've had a version that's eventually caught on, and now we have Vexotech, which is formerly Bastion Executioner and repurposed to actually include strong units. Let's talk about that. Yeah, so this is the optimized board. This used to be like just 6 Bastion Vex, but when Bastion was gutted, you have to look for different ways to make Vex work. So yeah. What's strong about this board is that you fit in 5 Exotech on 8, and then you added more legendaries like Aurora, Viego, Renekton. Pivot down to 3 Exotech, and yeah, Vex is really strong. Varus is a strong secondary carry, like surprisingly. I think Varus 2 is stronger than Aurora 1 or Viego 1. If you have Aurora 2 or Viego 2, you can move items onto them, but Varus 2 is actually really strong. And what makes this comp strong is that you have a lot of like stall with Sejuani stun, Varus stun, Mordekaiser stun. So with Vex healing as well, it's like a stall comp, and when you have the capped board, these units like having stall, like specifically Aurora. So yeah, I'm glad that comp has been gaining traction. Xayah. Okay, Xayah's getting a 580 buff, and that's it. But I think this buff is quite significant because Xayah is a unit about thresholds. The way Xayah wants to be played is she wants to one-shot her target. Right now, she has to build 3 damage items to do that. With this buff, she might be able to build a Shojin and 2 damage buffs and still one-shot her targets. In which case, I think that's a much bigger buff than it would seem. As a result, I think this is a really big buff. Because if Xayah is able to build Shojin and do 2 damage items, her cast frequency goes up dramatically because she's a perfect Shojin interval, so that she casts in 5 autos, which is a massive DPS increase. So if this is enough so that she's not punished for doing so, then Xayah is going to be incredibly strong. Another thing to keep in mind is that Aphelios was also buffed. There's no anima buffs, and there's actually a nerf here, but it's just something to keep in mind in terms of like everything surrounding this. Yeah, this is a really big buff. And another thing is that 2 of Xayah's nerfs previously had just been going back down from this number to this. I think she went from 65 to 63, and then from 63 to 60, and now she's going back to 65. So if we like take a look at the meta during that time, Xayah was very strong when she was at this number. So yeah, I think Xayah is for sure going to be very strong. As for anima, I'm not really sure, but like Aphelios, Xayah are definitely going to be strong, for sure. Aurora is getting nerfed. I think it's deserved. Aurora is the best unit in the game. This is a 20% damage nerf here, and then here it's like, I mean, it's more, but it's actually okay. This is actually a really, really big nerf. I think now, like, you need Aurora 2, even at 1 star. Which I think is fine. I think Aurora still has a lot of utility from like having her swapped in unit. But I think now for sure you are looking to item like you're probably not itemizing Aurora until you have Aurora 2. Okay, this is a really big nerf. Kabuko is getting reworked so that he only casts once. He does it when he goes to phase 2. His base attack speed is going up dramatically, and he's becoming like a more like a fighter type champion. His shield is going up, or yeah, his shield's going up. The what's what's the ratio? I don't know what the ratio is. His on hit damage is going up. His spell damage is going up. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, what does the Cyber Boss do for? Oh, so Cyber Boss now makes it so that his on hit damage is AOE. That's interesting. And then, okay, what else is changing? He gets more attack speed, more Omnivamp, more bonus magic damage. This is very interesting for like what it does for his itemization. Because if he's gonna become like a melee carry as opposed to like a off tank, actually I'm very curious as to what it does for the items. So if we look at the thing, so he's no longer getting durability. He still gets this. Alright, so the shield is still on phase 2. And on phase 2 he does his cast pretty much it's the same. It does more damage, but it only happens once. So all enemies within 2 hexes. So by default he has the Cyber Boss bonus. Pretty much. So he's gonna do this once, but he's gonna do it to. Okay, I think this is just a big buff. I'm not sure what Kabuko carry items would look like now. If you'd want like a Ginsu's or something. I don't think it'd be Ginsu's. It'd probably be like QSS. It might be like crits, honestly. Like QSS, Jeweled Gauntlets, like Hodge. We'll see. But he's definitely not a tank now. So another thing is that he doesn't have this max health ratio, so now it just doesn't. He's just a CC bot, like for the cast, and like the position doesn't matter. That I mean, you just want to hit more units. You don't want to like target the highest health unit. Yeah, I don't know. This is a lot. Well, a lot at once. I'd have to think about it a little bit more as to what he would want to build. But I do think this is a buff. like a pretty big buff. Yeah, there might be some crazy stuff here. Okay. Samira, 580 buff. So this is like a pretty big buff too, but I'm not really sure. I think this should make Samira good. I don't really know why Samira's weak now, but like every time I play her, she just feels bad. So, I mean, going from 65 to 70 AD is like an 8% damage buff. So, that should be good, I think. I don't know, it's hard to like quantify. Okay, like we really look at these numbers. I mean, that's like pretty good. I think that one thing that Samira might need would be for more people to build Shojin on her slash like mana items. I think because I'm not sure because like another thing is that she's kind of another unit of thresholds. She spins around. If she doesn't kill stuff in her spin, it takes a long time for her to spin again. So like a lot of the time she's like doing nothing. But I mean this is like a pretty big damage to the buff, so I mean like objectively there's nothing to talk about here because it's just a damage buff. What as for the meta implications, I'm not sure yet. So I'm just gonna leave it at that because I'm not sure yet. Urgot is getting buffed. Why? I don't know. He's being buffed 3 times. I don't think he needs to be buffed. Let's take a look at what's happening. Spell ratio going up by 5%. AD going from 63 to 66. Mana going down from 50 to 40. So, okay. This is just a damage buff. Specifically to the rockets. So this is times 3. So 15% more damage on each auto, which is a lot. Additionally, his AD ratio is going up. So 5% buff. So that's another thing. And then his time in between casts is going down from 5 autos to 4 autos. So he's spending a lot of his time in his cast. So it's not like he's like gonna abuse anything like something like Annie would, where like she's spam casting. Urgot is like locked into his cast for a while. But the point is, I think Urgot is. I mean, Urgot's objectively going to do much more damage. I don't think he's weak at all, though. So I don't really know why he's getting triple buffed. I feel like maybe one buff out of the 3 is like maybe acceptable. But he for sure does not need 3 buffs. So I think that might be bad. He's gonna farm a lot more for sure, I think. So an early Urgot I mean, the thing is, an early Urgot is already good. I don't know why Urgot's getting buffed. Like, I think he's already really good. Yeah, this is concerning. Viego is getting nerfed. I think. Okay, so his heal's getting nerfed and his damage is getting nerfed. I think the damage nerf is, I think, fine. I think the heal nerf might be too much. Because what makes Viego strong right now, besides like his summon, is that he lasts a long time with this, but if you take a look at like this for like a better context, he's losing like a third of his healing. And it makes it so that, like he's like what made him strong is that he could like tank, he could dive into backline and actually tank for a little bit before like dying, and he could get actual like multiple casts off. But now he's like honestly not that tanky. Like he's losing a lot of healing, so he's gonna die way like significantly faster, which is a problem. Depending on what you play Viego for, I think this might make it so that you might have to build more tanky on Viego, just like as, like how you play most of the comps you play him in. If you're playing like a specifically like a Golden Ox or like a Techie comp, where he's like a primary carry, like you still build him damage. But if you're playing like him as a flex unit, like to spread Techie, to like shred and stuff, I think you have to build him more tanky. And he's going to be less damage focused and more utility focused. But the point is, this nerf is really, really big. So it might be too much, I think. We'll see how gold like Viego comps look, but this is a very significant nerf. And then this, I think this is fair. Viego is strong, and that would be a fine way to nerf him. Another okay way to have nerfed him would have been to increase his mana cost. But I don't like this healed nerf. Because I don't like taking away things that are tied to the identity of the unit. Like at this point, just rework him and like remove it or something. And like do something else. I don't know. Okay. Amp is getting buffed at higher tiers. This trait was bait, and with this buff, it might still be bait, but it's definitely better. This 5 amp at 5 might actually be pretty significant. It's probably still bait on like Andy Samira, but I think on like Nidalee or like maybe Neferi, this might be significant. I'm not really sure because I've not played Vertical Amp since like before the set launched. But you're also getting 100 more health and then 50 more health here, which would make it so that when you're playing like the Neferi and the Nidalee, and like you're playing around like let's say Annie or Samira, like you like these units are less useless because they're at least slightly more tanky. Yeah. Cypher is getting its like stats increased. I think this is fine because I think there's very little incentive to play 5 Cypher once you cash out. So playing like the 5 Cypher units is like still kind of difficult because it's kind of hard to fit a lot of the good units in. Or a lot of good units in if you were playing 5 Cypher. So I still don't think that people might play 5 Cypher, but at least this is more incentive for sure. And I think it definitely needed that. Dynamo is getting nerfed at 2. I'm not. I think it's fine. I don't think Dynamo was too strong though. But Dynamo is like really easy to flex in because Morgana exists, and then there's a lot of good units that you want to pair it with. You can play Aurora on like any endgame board. A lot of boards play Jhin, Elise's Nitro, and then what MF. MF is like the least flexible, but like you can still play 2 Dynamo pretty easily. I think this is okay. Bulldogs is getting nerfed at 6. I think this is okay. Specifically the damage amp, but not the gold. So I think the playstyle is the same, but the cap is lower, which I think is fine. because a capped Golden Axe board is really hard to beat because they just have too much damage amp and they have too many upgraded units when you don't. So this at least lowers their damage, so it makes it so that they have so them having their 100% loot chance makes it so that they're still gonna have upgraded units, but their carries are gonna be less strong than before, which is fine, I think. I do think this needs to be nerfed. But if they nerf this, the trait would be too difficult to play. So the only problem is that this to this looks like pretty unsatisfying. So another thing it might be that some people might look at this and think that's pretty good, and we might just see more 4 Golden Ox. That might be something that arises as well. Street Demon 7 is getting buffed and 10 is getting nerfed. I think this is fine. It's a small buff. 10, I mean, I don't really have comments on. I don't really like. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's too strong or anything. I think it's fine as is. But 7, I think. I mean, there's more incentive to play the vertical. I'm not really sure if it's like. I mean, this is a buff to like, I guess, like Oranga or Jinx. If you play, I mean, most people play 5-5 now, but maybe this is like more to play 7-7 or not 7-7, just 7. I don't know. I don't know if this is needed, but I mean, I'm not gonna complain. I don't think it's like that bad. Cyber Coil is getting buffed. I think this is a good buff because it makes it so that this item is better on the other tanks. Like the problem with Cyber Coil is that its effect is only really usable by Sejuani because the other tanks don't hit very many units, so they don't really get to benefit from the healing. So this is just an objective stat buff, so it's just gonna be better as like a defensive item. Flux is stat buff, and then this is being nerfed. So this is fine. I think this is over nerfed. The problem is that a lot of Flux's value is this proc, and what these changes do is that they make it so that the item is better overall on units, on like all units, and like the ones that don't use this proc very well. But it lowers the ceiling, unlike Zeri, for instance. The problem is that I think this is too low. I think maybe this should have been like 10% or something. I think now it's too low. I think Zeri still wouldn't want to build. Like she still would. I think Zeri now would like this item less than she did before. I feel like now you don't even want to play Flux. Because at least before you would play it on Zeri, but now I don't think even Zeri wants it. Hollow Bow is getting nerfed, going back from 60 to 40. It's also getting some AP, but like whatever. The question here is whether they bug fixed it. If they bug fixed it, I don't think they even needed to nerf this. Because what makes Hollow Bow strong right now is that this buff stacks on itself. It's not supposed to do that, but the point is you can get this 60% buff multiple times and just get ridiculous crit chance and then crit damage. But it's not supposed to do that. It's only supposed to do that once, and it's just supposed to like refresh. So with that in mind, I feel like if that's fixed, I don't know if they needed to nerf this. Because yeah, like I said, the thing that made this absolutely broken is the bug. Like at the very least, it's getting like more stats. So it's at least better than it was before. Like before it got buffed. I think I also don't know if Hollow Bow has been bugged the whole time, or if it just got bugged during the patch that they buffed it. Just considering that it was like basically unclickable before. It was considered to be unclickable before. So yeah. Augments now. Coronation is getting nerfed. Its AD and ability power are getting nerfed. I think this is okay. So at the end of the day, most people are just taking this for the +1 units anyway. And it's still like pretty objectively like a decent item. Not anything crazy. It's like before and now it's still like kind of comparable to just a regular item. So I mean, with that not changing, it's fine. But I mean, I guess they gotta nerf this somehow. I don't think this really does anything. Crown's Will is getting nerfed. I don't really think we needed to do that. I think. Hmm, I don't really know. I mean, 10 armor was pretty good, and eight. I mean, I don't know. I don't think this was that strong, but maybe the stats say that it was. Cyberdeck is getting gutted. So obviously, when this was 3 items, this was like by far the most like broken augment in the game. At 2, it's like still a very strong augment. At 1, I mean, you're getting your ideal exotic item, but like, which units would you actually like care about this on? Like, you care about this for like Nefiri, uh, maybe Jin, and then maybe like Mordekaiser or something, or Jax. Actually, maybe I don't know. But the point is, like, this is just +1 item for a gold, and it's like it's pretty good, but this might be weak now. Because the exotech items are still, like, I'd say weaker than an artifact. And, like, I mean, I guess you can't miss if you're planning for that, so, like. But what made Cybertech good is that you didn't even need to play, like, 7 exotech. You could just play 3. Like, 3 exotech, and then all 3 of your exotech units would have gained items. And then on current patch, 2 of those 3 could gain an item. Now this is just kind of like gain an artifact, but like it's gain an exotech item. You're just getting 1. If Flux wasn't like gutted, I feel like this could be okay still, but now like I don't really think this is. I feel like this augment is not that strong anymore. Uplink is getting nerfed. This augment was really strong, so I think this is fine. Yep. Executioner circlets. I don't know why it did that. I don't know if it's either a typo or if it actually did that, but that was like not good. But yeah, it gives a Vex now, so that's better. Uh, I mean, at least it's not like I mean, I hope that was only a text change and that they didn't actually give you a Z. But I don't know. I've never taken this. Eye for an eye is getting nerfed. Uh, I think this is okay because for a silver, it's still pretty good. This one, I'm not sure. I mean, you still get three components. It's probably still fine. I mean, just compared to other silvers, it's probably still fine. Glass Cannon, these two are getting. Wait, what? Okay, Glass Cannon 1 is getting nerfed, Glass Cannon 2 is getting buffed. I don't know why this is getting buffed. I think both of these should be getting nerfed. Okay. These two numbers being so close to each other, okay, I get that. But I don't think this needed to be buffed. I think you could have at least left this the same. But like, the Glass Cannon's already really strong. I don't really see why you need to. Because 20% damage amp is a lot. That's a lot of free damage amp. I don't know. I feel like that the nerf is fine. This that buff I don't think that's good. Item collector uh is getting nerfed. I feel like this augment is just not very good anymore. Even currently, I don't think it's that good. Unless you're like on like a super heavy econ portal and you're playing extra tech and you just have like infinite items. But now, like, even if you have like 20 components or you have 20 items, the problem is that you need like a ton of like you need like a really high resource portal for this to be good. I think on like an average game, this augment is like now pretty weak. Lucky gloves. Oh. So yeah, the problem with Lucky Gloves is that Exotech with Lucky Gloves is like really broken. So yeah, this has to get nerfed. I mean, I guess this is fine. Like just keeping that in mind. Yeah, I think that's fine. Reinforcing Skeletor is getting buffed. Uh, okay, so for specifically the comp that I mentioned before with Alistar and Mundo, this might be pretty big. For like a vertical bruiser comp, this also might be playable. There's a couple bruiser comps I have on like on this. So we can talk about something. Something like this, for instance. You have a really big tanky front line. You can also play like Fiddlesticks. You can play uh you can play a different backline. You can maybe play like Zaya Philios now. But I think that's a pretty big buff. But they have to die, so like but you can get end up with a really tanky Mundo, for instance. So that's like something I'm a little interested in. Rig Chop nerfed. I think it's fine. Three cost rerolls have been really strong. Except for when I play it, then I mean it's not that good. But yeah, 9 rerolls plus this. You only take it in the spots where you like, care about three costs, but like getting 9 rerolls on top of that was like okay. Like for instance, like if you were playing like a three cost reroll comp, And you had this versus roll for days, rolling for days, which is just 11 rerolls. Like, I mean, like Rig Shop was just like absolutely broken in that setup. So yeah, it needs to be nerfed. Sated Spellweaver is getting its Omnivamp nerfed and its excess healing buffed. Honestly, I think that's a good buff. I think this is a buff. What this does is this is, I mean, if people remember, I forgot what it's called, but the Omnivamp augments that gave, like it focused on the shield, but I feel like I forgot what it was. Oh god, it's been a long time. But yeah, the augments and like set 6 or something. It just gave Omnivamp and it gave like overheal shield. And like now this is the same thing except it's more focused on the shield. I think people focus on after casting an ability and think that this is not that good in a lot of units, but I think like if you just focus on this on like you're just getting Omnivamp. I mean I think it's pretty good. I think honestly this is actually no, this is really impactful. So it's gonna be a little harder to get there, but I think you still can get to the max shield anyway, in which case it's just a buff. Actually, no. Now it is gonna be hard. It's for sure gonna get harder. I don't think you're gonna get to the max shield. I guess it depends on the unit, right? But I feel like this augment is pretty underrated, and I like this change personally. As for whether it's good, I don't know, but I do like this change. Scapegoat is getting buffed. I think it's fine. I think this augment was not that good. Spear's Will is getting nerfed. This is a pretty big nerf. I don't think it's needed. It's like the same thing as Crown's Will. I don't I don't think this is needed. I felt like this one was like it was good, but it wasn't like that strong. But like I mean I guess this is just a text change, I think. Or maybe it's not. Maybe like this affected dummies and stuff and golems, and maybe they don't want that. I feel like that's like if that was the case, I don't really think I like that. Okay, whatever. Subscription service 8. Okay, I think this is better now. Because the problem is that you often just can't buy the stuff that you want without just like and the like broke. So like if you don't hit like a good pair, you're just gonna be broke the whole game. Trade checker nerf. Uh, it's getting nerfed again. I think this is just because of Exotech for like the same reason as like the other stuff. Or worst case scenario, you just have items to put on your tanks. And if you get actually good emblems, then obviously it's gonna be broken. But yeah, no, this augment is I think with people figuring out easy ways to proc this fast, this augment is incredibly broken. There's one I want to talk about, which I found is really, really easy to do, but just based because it's like almost a normal comp, which is let's go to this. I think it's like this. No, it's not this. It's Yeah, this procs it, and this is like a board that you would play anyway without any thinking. Like this is like the transition board into Vex. Like this is literally what you're playing before you play Vex. You're benching your Varus or something, and then like that's it. And you're playing Elise. But yeah. Trade Tracker is incredibly broken. Trial Run is removing its scaling. I think it's fine. I think the supplement is still fine. I think it's definitely better than Cyber Tech right now, which I think got gutted. I think Trial Run is like still definitely takeable. Cause like the thing is, when you get the like two tank items, the gold one becomes like ridiculously tanky and like actually a problem. Vampiric Vitality is getting nerfed. Um, I don't know if that was needed. I guess that's probably good in like no, I don't know. I feel like the number is too low, but yeah, I don't think this. I don't know. I don't think this needed to be nerfed. So like even if like a best case scenario, like a late game, you're doing like 20 damage to someone, you'd only heal for 5 health, which is like at that point in the game, it's like not even like a life. Or like not that you'd get a whole life, but like as you do more damage, like the more health like numbers actually matter. So like this number going down dramatically just makes it so that this impact is just not very high at all. But the thing is, like this is also pretty good though. So I mean, the fact that you get both, maybe this is fine. But I don't know. I don't think this needs to be nerfed. Okay, I'm actually pretty like my voice is not doing well, and I don't actually have that much time because I have to cook. This took longer than I thought it would. So I'm pro. Okay, so I want to talk about artifacts, but I don't think I have enough time. Because mostly I want to re-record, and like pretty much nothing has changed. It's emblems. When I guess we go fast. Uh, so which artifacts to play, or what to play based on artifacts? So we're just gonna go over like the each artifact unit. I've had this set up since like literally before the set launched, and almost nothing has changed. But now we have more like experience and knowledge. So I mean, we can talk about what works, what doesn't. There's gonna be very little that's like inaccurate now. So yeah, start with Blighting Jewel. Like I want to start with the ones that like because this goes like the ones that like are comp warping versus like the generic ones will be later. So the first comp warping one is Blighting Jewel, and the main candidates for that are gonna be uh to play around Fiddlesticks and to play around Morgana. So not the current patch Morgana, but next patch Morgana will probably be a Blighting Jewel holder. But right now, if you get Blighting Jewel, you just play Fiddlesticks. And you play reroll Fiddlesticks. On the next patch, uh, Morgana will probably be a very, very viable unit to take this on. Like Morgana might actually be like super broken with Blighting Jewel. Like by design, it's super good on her. It's just that Morgana is weak right now. But next patch, she might be really strong, in which case Blighting Jewel stocks will go up dramatically if Morgana reroll were to be viable. Yeah, so okay. Fiddlesticks comp is this. You're just playing 6 Bruiser plus Fiddlesticks, and then uh afterwards, if you hit stuff, you're either going to 4 Boombots or you're adding like maybe Bastion with like Poppy, Renekton. And you have Renekton bite something and become really tanky. And then for Morgana, there's a couple iterations. The first I would look at would be like something like this. Probably. It's just like some kind of Vanguard 1 cost reroll setup. Another one would be this. I'm not too sure if this is like a hybrid comp. So depending on how this like, I don't know. If this isn't good, then the Morgana comp would probably be like this. But the point is, some version of Morgana would be playable with this artifact, and those would be the things that you'd look for with Morgana or with Blighting Jewel. Okay. Deathfire Grasp. You can take this on pretty much any AP carry. It's just AP damage amp, and then it has like a active effect. So this blast is pretty good on like boom bots, but the only boom bot that would actually care about that would be Fiddlesticks. I don't know if this is like good enough to be. Let's take a look at stats here. I'm on Tactics Stock Tools, Artifacts, Deathfire Grasp. It's pretty good on Vagar, good on high cost, and it just scales with like it's good on like any AP carry pretty much. Fiddlesticks, I guess it's not that good. Or it's fine. It's like that's the relative delta. Oh, I guess on Fiddlesticks, it's pretty good, like I thought, but it's just that Fiddlesticks himself is like not very. But yeah, we look at the relative delta. It doesn't have like super good synergy with anyone. It's pretty good on like Vagar and stuff, and like all these like reroll units. But it doesn't have like a clear synergy with anyone. It's just like a generically fine AP item. But yeah, the reason I said it was good on Fiddlesticks is because of Boombots. Because the damage proc would work towards Boombots, so you probably get something out of that. But it's like a minor like thing. But you can play any comp. You can play Vexotech. You can play. I mean, I'm just gonna show a bunch of AP comps so I don't have to like edit. You can play. You can maybe play Golden, but yeah, let's look at Strategist Brand True Demon, and you also have Access Effects, which I will move over here just wherever the. Where's the Vex comp? Or did I just replace it and not remove? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing is that's what that turned into. So, but yeah, you can also play Vex Attack. and it's just her third item. Because like Vex items, like her third item slot is flexible, just whatever damage item you have. Guard Breaker, Death Cap, Jeweled Gauntlet. In this case, Deathfire Grasp, anything like that is fine. Okay. Fishbones, pretty awkward. It's good when you pair it with like a snipers or something, but on its own, it's not that good. I think it might be okay on Xayah next patch. Nefiri, if she gets buffed, it might be good on. It's like okay on everything. Like if we look at stats, oh, the stats are like yeah, it's pretty good on like these units. Veigar gets to one shots backline randomly. Yeah. Senna is good because uh I mean she does a lot of damage, but also her cast can like randomly hit a lot of units with the range. If she targets like something here, her thing will hit everything on the way, like a Draven ult. So that can add a lot of damage. Xayah can randomly one shot something. Jinx can randomly one shot something. Uh, yeah, this Veigar. It might be okay for Jack's hero augment too. It lets them auto a bit more safely. It's not anything crazy. Yeah, let's yeah, Senna comp or like yeah, this comp. It's just Vayne roll, J4, Senna, all that stuff. I need to update the picture for positioning, but yeah. And then Jinx comp. And then what else? Veigar. Also, this is unupdated. But yeah, those are some ideas to play with fish phones. Nothing too crazy, but you have options. Oh, another one's Nefiri. I'll show Nefiri. Because range Nefiri has options. This keeps her a bit more safe, so if Neferi were to be slightly stronger, this would be a strong comp. Gambler's Blade, for the most part, you look Twisted Fates because he scales the best with like raw attack speed. So we take a look at this. This is the current version of Twisted Fate reroll. You play with Draven. And you just replace one of the Ginsu's. I think he's like the better user because it gives the 10 AP, which is like not bad for TF, whereas for the other units it's like a little wasted. But other than that, it's like the kind of the same. So like there's other options in like Kog'Maw, Vayne, uh any like attack speed user that can like something like an early game champion that you would like move later. It's good on. I'm not gonna base people with that. Yeah, Zeri, Annie, affiliates like any like Ginsu's user pretty much. And this item will just replace one Ginsu's. Collector, this is like any Infinity Edge user, and you just pair this with Infinity Edge. Misfortune, Raven, Senna, Jin, Neferi. Like, even Executioners, it's pretty good. It's a raw damage item, but like, it's fine. If you, at least early, like for instance, you can play it on Rengar, and then when you have your 3 item Rengar, you can move it to Jinx. But, yeah, like I have Jinx here anyway, so. But pretty much any AD unit can use it fine. Yeah. It's probably pretty good on Zed, too. Shaco. Horizon Focus. There aren't that many units that stun, so you have to look for a unit that stuns. The main one's going to be Sejuani. She's like the AoE stun tank of the set. Uh, you just play Sejuani in any of the Sejuani comps, which is like Vexotech or Exotech Zeri, or like. I mean, I guess those are the 2 main ones, but that's like. There's gonna be like 3 or 4 people playing that in every lobby, so. Yeah. The other one is just Zac. Uh, Zac's ability stuns, and when he splits, both of his copies can stun, so it can be a lot of CC. Those are probably the 2 main ones I would look at. I think reworked Kabuko probably would no longer be a Horizon Focus user. But innovating Lockets. It has 2 effects. It helps the user gain mana, and it restores the holder's max health over 3 seconds. This is like a perfect Cho'Gath item because his cast gains gives him more permanent max health, and his health pool is already really large, and this will regen him for a percentage of his max health. It also gives him more mana, which makes him cast more, which makes him like snowball harder, and then eventually you get to the point where Cho'Gath is just unkillable. His damage scales with his health, so like realistically, he can also like wipe the board. And yeah, I think one thing to mention is that with like if you want to play for overtime Cho'Gath, you probably want to put Cho'Gath on one of the sides and hope that he like you're just on the right side. And the reason for that is that with his spell getting bigger, if he's in the middle, he's not like even if his cast hits the whole board, it still like only hits in like a cone. So you want him to like kind of angle toward like when he's hitting like a lot of units, like you're actually hitting like the whole board. So like if you clear one side and he casts this way, if he like walks up here and he actually hits everything. Whereas if he's here and he like walks up and like he casts and like he hits like this whatever and then like I don't know, it's complicated. But right now the comps that you played Shogoth in are just like Fatal Sticks mostly. Let's I'm gonna do it later. Yeah. You just play Fiddle versus Fiddle Cho'Gath. Another option is to play some other 6 bruiser comp, but it's like the same thing. Just any 6 bruiser setup, and you just play Cho'Gath. You can use Dr. Mundo as an item holder. I don't have Mundo here. That's weird. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the wrong unit. There. Uh, I'm thinking of Talisman. But never mind. Yeah. But the point is, this makes Cho'Gath unkillable. So, yeah. Another good user is Shyvana, because she works in pretty much the same way as Cho'Gath. She's just like a little bit weaker of units, and like the comps are different. But yeah. Shyvana similarly gains max health, and she wants to cast more, so she like ramps up. But yeah, this would make her like unkillable. And I have a bit of a meme comp that uses. I mean, it's not like built around lockets, but like if you have lockets, it can use it really well. Which is just, I mean, you're just playing to make Shyvana just immortal, and you can reroll Vhagar at the same time. But if you want to go for like a carry Shyvana, and you have a vertical bastion setup, it's definitely an option. Alright, Lichbane, not like too many good users. It's best on the users with like low mana costs. So like Yuumi, Vex, any like these, all of these units. Like if you're to play a reroll on them, or to play them like with reroll, it's pretty good. So it gets good stats, attack speed and AP, and then it's the first attack after each ability. So the more frequently they're casting their ability, the more frequently they're getting their first attack afterwards. And this is just the third item on like all of these units, and it can add up a lot. So if Morg becomes meta for next patch, Vhagar, Yuumi, any Vex. What else am I missing? LeBlanc is a decent candidate too. Any of these like 50 mana cost or less. Even Elise could be fine. She's 55, but she has Dynamo. There's a world where Zeri's like fine with it. I want to see what the stats on Zeri are. It's not. I would expect it to be amazing, but like, it's probably not that bad. Oh, apparently this is the. Okay, it's the least popular one. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. Not great, but yeah. I mean, this artifact is a bit weak, but I think when Morgana gets buffed, when Yuumi gets buffed, this might have a bit of better place in the meta. As for what you play, let's take a look at. Not Dino. Let's just play like this is what Yuumi reroll would look like. If you remember, this is just the strategist comp, what you're playing around Yuumi. I think this comp works pretty well. And she'll proc it a lot. You could play the exact same comp, but play around any. Is this the same comp, but you're playing around any? You can play around Morgana on next patch specifically. Yeah. Even LeBlanc reroll is not terrible. Vhagar, not terrible. With all that said, I would wait and see if Morgana, Annie become stronger like Yuumi, because I think those units would be better than like the Vhagars, the LeBlancs. So For now, we're gonna wait, but I do think the answer would look something like that. What were the stats on Vex? Yeah, like this doesn't do anything to replacement. So it's not like it's like fine. I think the item might need to be buffed slightly. But yeah, that's what you would play with Fletchbane. Light Shield, you could just build any, like you could play any comp and just put this on your main tank. But I think there's one interaction with Zac, which is when he splits, he gets the double shield. So Zac at 10% health, he splits into the two copies, and then when each of those die, they each get the shield to everyone. So that's like a pretty good min max kind of thing. And another thing is that before they die, but they're split, they're sending two shields out. So that's like a really good interaction. But otherwise, and any primary tank, Sejuani, Leona, Nico, like just anything. It's a really good item because the stats are on it are good. It's good stats. Ludens. Uh, Ludens is really good on specifically units with a lot of like single target, like or not necessarily single target, but high instances of damage that are likely to overkill. I think the main candidates are something like Shaco, because his ramp, like he ramps up AD, and then when he casts, his like stab just does a ton of single target damage. He gets a ton of AD, and he is the one shot champion. So we take a look at that. Like he's gonna do like so much more damage than like. Because another thing is that he targets the lowest health enemies. So, and his damage is all in one instance, so he's going to overkill for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure Shago is the best user of it by far. But there are other good users. Okay. The Draven data is a little skewed, but I'll talk about that, what that is. It is good on Draven, but the reason for that is because of the Cypher cash out, where there's one where you have this, and it gives you Ludens, but you also have Radiant Children, Radiant IE, a 2-star Draven. Your odds of having a 3-star Draven are really high if you have Ludens on him, so because of that, if you have that cash out, it's a really, really good cash out. So you are likely to win. So yeah, that's why that's so high. Other units with like really high instances of damage. Stuff like Kindred, it's single targets. Veigar, it's not single. I mean, it's single targets, and it just does a lot of damage, but it has a little bit of AoE as well. TF, once he has the stacks, yes, but like otherwise not really. Senna does a lot of damage. Zyra does a lot of damage. Garen does a lot of damage. Basically, all these units that have spells that hits once and do a lot of damage, it's good on. There's actually no Garen's data, which is kind of interesting. But for instance, Garen, this is like a really big number, and it hits once. It hits multiple enemies, but like... yeah, it does a lot of damage. And then Senna just has a lot of AD, and her spell doesn't do like that crazy damage, but like... it still does a good amount of damage. Kindred is really high ratio. It's single targets, so. And then Veigar, same thing. Single targets. Has a bonus shoot damage too. It just can do a lot of damage. Manazane. This artifact is really, really good. There's just a lot of really good users. A couple of which are like, actually, let me do that. But units that wants to ramp, like LeBlanc, for instance, this artifact enables LeBlanc because this lets her stack her sigils a lot faster. So what this does is LeBlanc gets stronger on every cast. Every cast send one more sigil. So she gets more sigils early onto a cast, and then she's just really, really strong. Other good users are a lot of the spell spammers. So another good user is like Brand for no, that's Brand. Let me just go to the comps. What Brand does is he throws his like target. He has a single target damage, and then it spreads to a bunch of units. So if you've played against this comp, you know that Brand can do a lot of damage. Like his cast just does a lot of damage. If he gets his cast really quickly, he gets like two casts really quickly with Menazane. So what that does is it basically will it'll basically one shot the board pretty much. It'll kill most things. Anything that's hit by a spell, if they're getting hit by a spell 3 times, like it's should be wraps. So another one is Annie, wherever she is. Annie gets tippers faster. How to access 1v0? I don't use 1v0, so I'm not sure. It could just be disabled for the moment. If there's a red exclamation mark, it might be like it might be disabled for something. Like they might be doing like maintenance or something on it. Because normally, if like something is like not and it like you're not allowed to do something, or like if something's like like broken, it's because it's just grayed out. But if it's specifically a red exclamation, it's because like there's like something being done. It might be up later. I don't know, but I don't use 1v0. Yep. Yumi, if she were a real candidate, she'd be really good with this. Vex, Morgana, like all these low mana costs that can get multiple spells out fast. It'd be really good on. Veigar, it's really good with. I mean, I should just link all of these because this artifact is like actually broken. Okay. Let's log on to PBE. Yeah, if we take a look at the stats, Menacing is by far the best artifact in the game. It just has too many good interactions. Uh, Beggar Jinx brand is disgusting with. I don't know about this, but I mean, I guess that's like pretty good. LeBlanc, look at the relative data delta. This artifact is crazy. And the thing is, a lot of its users are gonna get buffed too, so we might see Yumi, Morgana. I mean, I guess it's not that good with Vex, but yeah, the point is, there's a lot of good users. I'll remove this because apparently it's not good on Vex. Let that load. Okay, Prowlers has some pretty good interactions. I think the first comp that's all pretty obvious is going to be. Let me like link these. I got a second to show. Yep. Let's see what it says. It doesn't say anything, but they're probably doing some kind of maintenance on it. I don't know. I never use this anyway, so I have no idea. Prowler's Claw is good on Rengar. And there's this version, there's the other. I mean, it's the same thing, there's just slightly different. But it's really good on Rengar. He gets a bunch of resets. It's also good on Shaco. He gets a bunch of resets pretty easily. Another one that I found that was really interesting, but it worked really surprisingly well, was Garen. And the comp I was playing it in was. So yeah, another really underrated user of Prowler's Claw is Garen. Uh, Specifically in this setup. I mean, I don't know. He just like resets and he does like. I mean, Garen I think is a super underrated carry, and then if you build him like. Where is it? This. I don't know. When I played it, it felt like he was generating more mana than he should, but he was spinning around and he's like spam casting. Not spam casting, but like he was like sending his sword like everywhere, and he was like moving, and like I'd beat any three with it like 3 times. But yeah, I think Garen. I don't know what the stats are, but this Garen units with Prowlers is like actually a beast. Oh, what's interesting is it's okay. It's also actually pretty good on J4, but J4 is also getting nerfed, so it might no longer be good on J4 after the nerfs. Also, is it even good on? It's fine on Graves. It's not that good on Renekton. Yeah, the comps I would default to would just be either Rengar or Shaco, depending on when you hit the Prowler's Call. If you have a Shaco spot, you play Shaco. If not, you could just play Rengar. Because you need to have Shaco early for that to be good. But Rengar you can kind of just play whenever, and you'll have good results. Okay, the next one is Rapid Fire Cannon. I think this is probably the worst artifact in the game. Just because this set, there aren't good users of it. It's not, but it's like very close. So take a look at the stats. Like very few units use it well, and like even like the closest thing to a good user is Shaco, just because you can like kind of like you can turn into a like a ranged carry, and you have to disable his syndicate bonus though because he doesn't use it well with the bonus. Like the range and the bonus don't work together. But you can kind of like make him into a like a 80 stacking like carry. Uh, Otherwise, it's like okay on like attack speed units. It's not anything crazy. The next one I'd probably say is like Renekton. If Neferi got buffed more, it'd be good on the Neferi, but it's like not that good. I would generally avoid taking Rapid Fire Cannon in general. If you end up getting it, it's like okay on like these units. But I wouldn't say it's that good. Seekers, you just want to play on like any like uh melee like AP carry. Oh, I should probably put like even though it's a bit early. Yeah. Any of like the AP hero augments or any of the AP melee carries in the set, it's good on. Not too much like to write home about. I wouldn't say Seekers is like that strong, but it's not weak either. Like it's okay. It's okay on like a bunch of units, but it's not like that's crazy. I would say like the best user is probably Viego, but even like Viego would probably prefer other items. So this is another one I would generally avoid, but it's like not that bad. I'm surprised the data isn't that supportive of fiddlesticks. That's pretty surprising. But it could just be that Fiddle Six is not that strong. But this is another one I would probably avoid, at least this patch. And probably the next patch too. Maybe with Kabuko it becomes better. It's pretty good on the hero augments. Or I mean, I guess maybe not. I don't know. Like the stats. I mean, okay, the stats is that the hero augments are also just weak, so those need to be buffed up. I'm actually surprised that the hero augments have not been buffed. Because right now they're like all bait. Silver Mirdon. This is Rengar's artifact. This is the best one. It doubles as a QSS and a Titans pretty much. So this is pretty good. You just drain tank. And yeah, it removes like pretty much his one weakness, which is crowd control. Because, like I said, it's a QSS, but it's also like a Titans. And you just play one of the two Rengar versions. Another good user is Neferi. And it's just the same Neferi comp. And you just, instead of Titans, instead of like one of the damage items. And this, like, the same thing turns into like a bit of a drain tank. I want to see what the stats are on Senna. Because, like, it should be good, but I think it just isn't. Yeah. It's not, like, terrible, though. But yeah, it's good on the hero augments. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. Snipers focus. I think the best candidates for sure is to play Fiddlesticks. This enables him a lot. It gives him a lot of safety, and his tether it doesn't have like a range, so like he can technically be backline and hit like the opposite of the board. Look at stats here. This is one of the better artifacts just because at worst it's just a good damage amp item. But if you look at the stats on Fiddlesticks, it's crazy. With that said, it's good on a lot of units. I should put like brand. No, I should put like here. Well, what it's good for on brand is that his fireballs can hit backline really easily, so he gets a lot of damage like that. Yeah, that's a bait. I'm gonna do that. But as a generic damage item, it's just good on a lot of units. I guess Shakeout's okay with. I'm just gonna add these all so that people will play them. Wait, Sniper's Focus. It has the range bonus, but it also has this damage amp bonus, which, if you are a certain distance away, you get like a lot of damage amp. So ranged units by default will get their like if they're targeting like something that's just like directly in front of them. This is like a 4 distance away, so they're gonna get 36 damage amp by default. But for which is actually good, but you can get away with a lot more if you have something like let's say you have Brand and he casts on something. And like he targets the more with like the main fireball, but then the small fireball goes and hits like this Jinx over here. And that is not 4 distance away, that's like 8, that's like 7 or 8 or something. 6, 7. This is 7 hexes away. So for that you actually have 63% damage amp, which is a lot. So that's why it's really good on the ranged units. Like, there's units that use it for the extra range, and then there's the ones that use it just for the damage amp. And this set, it's mostly going to be used for the damage amp. And there's a couple units that can use it for the range. It's like not bad. But for sure the default would be Fiddlesticks if you get it like a 2-1. And if not, you can kind of get like it's a safe take because you can play it in pretty much any comp. Spectral Cutlass, I would say this is good on just like assassin type units. It can be okay on maybe some stuff like range units that can like kind of cast safely. It just depends on whether they're gonna cast or not. If they will cast in that window, then it's pretty good. So like let's take a look at the stats and see if like how troll it is on ranged units. It seems to be pretty like clearly good on Rengar, but like okay, people just don't play this on ranged units. That's the problem. But it's definitely like a solid artifact, and you can take it on Rengar and have a way into that comp. Trench coats is like an interesting one. It's not that strong, but it's like okay. I think it's a little underrated. There's some interactions with like I spell that. Actually, let's say what the stats are for that. If people even abuse that or not. Like all these like drain tank type units, it works pretty well on. Like these AD bruisers or AP bruisers that can heal a lot. I guess it's not good on Zed for some reason. But yeah, it's still a bit on the weaker side, so I would kind of avoid it. I think if people get better with it, I mean, I guess if you want to take it to like try to figure out what's good with it, that's fine. But right now, I wouldn't say this artifact is that strong on the basis of meta. Like, there is probably like a correct answer here, but I don't think people have found it yet. Talisman, uh, you play around Cho'Gath, you play Fiddlesticks, but to get there, you can item holes with Mundo. So you're playing around Cho'Gath just ascending and then just killing everything, and so he can do that perfectly fine. Uh, Another good holder is Mundo because Mundo is just a good. He scales both health and yeah, so you can use him as a holder. Other units are just units that are likely to ascend. So like Aurora, for instance, is pretty likely to ascend because I mean, she does the swap and then afterward, like she lasts a long time, so she will probably ascend. So according to stats, Vayne is pretty likely to ascend. I guess if you have like J4-3, maybe like, that can make sense. But the stats on Vayne are, I guess, pretty good. Zac might be a pretty good candidate just because his blobs keeps the stack. So like if he splits and he's still alive though, he's pretty good. Trickster's Glass has some good users. Uh, I think Aurora is probably a good one because she can bring 2 units in. Sejuani double stun, Leona like double on like double Leona's just good. There's like nothing too crazy. MF is like just good, just because positioning wise you can hit a lot of units. Predator's really good on Senna. I guess that's because the mana doesn't really matter. Just have some tanks. It's fine on those. But yeah. So Senna has the unique situation where her mana cost is fake because she barely casts anyway. So having a higher mana cost doesn't really matter. But you do have the benefit of a second Senna, which does a lot of damage and it gets the cleave. So you're just having a really high DPS increase on your team. So if you play Senna towards like the more middle hexes, the cleave will get more value from hitting units. So yeah, and if you actually look at the thing, they have 70 base health and 10% max mana, but the base health doesn't really matter on backliners, and then the max mana doesn't really matter on Senna. So yeah. Another similarly good one is Urgot's. Another good one is Urgot, just because his cast doesn't really matter. He's spending more time in his spell anyway than like generating mana, so and you can double farm gold and double execute units, so that's like really good. Unending Despair is just good on shield users. The better the shield, the better the user. I think Skarner is probably the most generic one, but like Skarner in reroll isn't like that crazy. Vi, same thing. I think like they're the best users, but their comps are not that strong. So realistically, the best user is probably gonna be like Mordekaiser, just because Mordekaiser is strong and he's played often. Something like Kabuko or Poppy could work really well. Kabuko for the big shield that breaks. Garen for the same reason as Kabuko. These 2 units have like really big shields that break quickly and they can do a lot of damage. Uh, Poppy is like kind of in the same tier as like Vice Corner. She just uses she shields often. She uses the stats well. Yeah, basically any unit that shields, you'd want. And there's a couple options. There's like a bunch of good options. Let's see what stats say. Vice Garner J4 is another one I didn't bring up, but like yeah, all these shield users. And then Nico's not that great. Yeah, and then all these other units are just not. I mean, I guess Jax shields, but most of the rest of those units just don't shield. It's a pretty solid tank item, but like you need to be playing a unit that uses it, and there aren't that many. Like, you're probably gonna play this from reroll, and you're gonna reroll something. I think play around like Braum, Skarner. if you're not playing a round reroll, it's probably not that good. Wit's End, I think, is probably not that good, but it's good on TF. Wit's End, it's kind of the same thing. It's I think the same. No, it's not. But like it gives attack speed, it gives on hit damage. So you just want a unit that hits a lot. They also healed the holder for like 35% of magic damage dealt. So if they want to benefit from that healing, they also have to be someone that does magic damage. So because of that, the only attack speed carry that does magic damage is TF. So TF is the best user. But any other attack speed carry can do okay with it. Uh, like Vayne, Ophelia, Zeri, like yeah. I guess LeBlanc accent, but it's like not that good on like many units. If you get this early, I would look to play TF, and if not, I wouldn't really take this because this set there just aren't many good users of. But what End just doesn't have many good users this set, so your option is pretty much TF. You have other options, but I don't think they're that good. And then lastly, we have actually not even lastly, we have Zanya's, which any like it's like an Edge of Knights. It's better on AP carry, like melee carries, because of the stats. But you can kind of just treat it as like an Edge of Knights otherwise. So the melee carries plus like the hero augments are generally your best bets. Realistically, I would probably lean towards like Viego, but like that's a 5 cost, so like I wouldn't say there are that many good users. If Nidalee comp becomes better, I think Nidalee would be a great user. I think there's a Faith apparently loves this. I guess the reasoning is that TF like he just wants to stall for as long as possible. So Zamius helps him do that. Yeah, the stats seems to be really good for TF Zanya's. So I would imagine you're just stalling for longer and trying to get into overtime, which is it works out. And then lastly, these are like either too generic or like they're not. I wouldn't say they're like that good. Like middens, I think it's just good on like any melee carry. It's not great, but it's good because it gives damage reduction and the chill resist. Uh, Animus Visage is just good on any tank. Like this one's actually just really good, but you just play it on any tank. The best one's probably Cho'Gath, but like Cho'Gath is like as a tank not that good. It's just yeah. But any tank, main tank of your comp is it's good on. That's Defiance is good on any like melee carry. That's like any AD melee carry. I guess the AP ones are it's fine on as well, but you just are using this to replace like a BT. Infinity Force you can put on pretty much any units. Better on carries. But I mean, this item can give you like it's just it's just stats. You can put this on pretty much any unit, and it's pretty good. It's best on melee carries though, but sometimes like the meta's just not like I would just say any carry it's good on. Hull Crusher, it's good on like it's good on a good amount of units. There's a pretty good amount of options. Like it's just frontliners that I mean whether they're carriers or they're tanked is kind of whatever. Like even on like some of the bad users, it's not even that bad. I guess the only like bad users like other units just aren't that good. Renekton for some reason it's bad with. But like from here upwards, it's like I guess Alawi for some reason it's bad on as well. But from here upwards, it's like it's just any like melee units. It's pretty good on. Mogul's Mail, it's good early. It's not that good later, but like you just put it on your main tank. The way you want to play with Mogul's Mail is like you only want to take it if you have another tank item, because you want to guarantee you get the Mogul Mail value. Because when it stacks, it has okay stats, but like before then, it doesn't really have that much stats. So it needs help to get the actual like proc at full stacks. So if you don't have another tank item that you can make, I wouldn't take this. And even late game, I wouldn't put this on your main tank. I would move it somewhere else, just because the stats aren't that good. Okay, and then the last one is Blacksmith's Gloves. I don't even know if this is in the game because I have not seen it once the entire game, but I mean it's still here. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to whether it's been removed or not, but I have not seen it once. If it is still in the game, just any melee carry, it's fine. As they're the least affected by the low rolls. But that is every artifact. I'm re-recording this. Like I said, not much has really changed since I recorded it the first time, but I haven't actually had time to like do stuff to edit, so like I might as well re-record it if I haven't even started editing that anyway. Hopefully I find ways to find more time to do stuff. But yeah, I do have to go for now. It is late in the sense that I have to cook. So goodbye everyone. Thanks for stopping by.